In the world of martial arts, there has always been a fine line between mastery and mockery. For centuries, tradition, discipline, and hard-earned skill have defined the craft. But in the modern era, amid viral videos and self-proclaimed gurus, that line has been crossed again and again. This is fake masters getting destroyed by real fighters. Part 2. A brutal reminder that truth is measured in blood, bruises, and broken egos, not dramatic poses and theatrical footwork. It begins in the boxing ring, where a self-styled Wing Chun master steps in. Cocky and animated, convinced his chain punches and shadow sparring can rattle a professional fighter. He tries intimidation tactics, throwing wild strikes with dramatic flair, but the real fighter barely flinches. Then, without hesitation, he counters. A fist slices through the falsehood like a razor through paper, and within seconds, the makeup of the master's delusion is smeared across the mat. Still, the man rises shaken, but stubborn. That defiance lasts mere moments before he's sent into unconsciousness by a clean, clinical knockout. The audience doesn't need a slow-motion replay to understand what just happened. Delusion met reality, and reality won. In another bout, Chinese fighter Chen Shihan, dubbed the Reaper of Fake Master, steps into the ring. He faces yet another self-proclaimed Wing Chun practitioner, one who clearly underestimated his opponent. The bell rings. The master launches an absurd attack, throwing his weight and limbs with zero precision or power, and even has the audacity to use his backside as a weapon. But Han doesn't laugh. He punches. With precise counters and thunderous fists, he forces the man to crumble under the pressure of real combat. The fight ends swiftly, decisively, another faker exposed. Then, there's Tai Chi, often revered for its grace and meditative qualities. Tai Chi isn't inherently useless, but it was never meant for combat. That, however, doesn't stop deluded masters from believing their slow, floaty movements can translate into the brutal arena of professional fighting. One such man enters a kickboxing gym, oozing confidence. He throws stylized punches and swirling motions, as if rehearsing a dance rather than preparing for war. But his opponent, a trained kickboxer, barely acknowledges the show. When the time is right, he unloads. A single strike, clean and cold, sends the Tai Chi master's body crashing to the floor. All the years of training unravel in a heartbeat. But China isn't the only breeding ground for martial frauds. In Kazakhstan, the virus of delusion has spread. Somoljan Okarovich, a man who fancied himself the next Bruce Lee, tried to sell deepfakes of skill. His dream turned into a nightmare when he stepped into the cage with Hanada, a real fighter, determined to cleanse his homeland of martial art pretenders. As the fight begins, Okarovich charges in, flailing with reckless abandon. But Hanada is a deep-sea predator. He drags the clown into unfamiliar waters, grappling pressure, violence. The crowd watches as Hanada transitions from a takedown to a merciless chokehold. Within seconds, the dream dies. Another fake, suffocated by the truth, another Tai Chi practitioner, blinded by decades of ceremonial nonsense, decides to test his so-called mastery against a young Thai fighter. From the first bell, the difference is apparent. The Thai fighter, fast and brutal, wastes no time. The Tai Chi master attempts a performance, slow gestures, mystical breathing, but his opponent sees only an opportunity. Punches land with precision. The master is cornered, pinned against the ropes like a defenseless animal. There's no elegance in survival, and there's no surviving this beat. Reality once again asserts itself with a roar of fists and sweat. The next contestant in this farce is yet another man convinced that his secret, martial arts, can stand against mixed martial arts. Drenched in ego, he enters the ring with flair, clearly trained more in performance than in practicality. His opponent is a hardened MMA fighter, uninterested in theatrics. The bout begins, and it quickly becomes a public execution. The fake master tries spinning kicks and palm strikes, but they carry no weight, no pain, no risk. The MMA fighter, unmoved, delivers a series of punishing blows that destroy any illusion. The crowd watches, not a fight, but a dismantling. Perhaps the most ludicrous of all are the no-touch masters. These con artists claim they can knock opponents down with invisible energy, waving their arms like sorcerers and pretending their opponents collapse under the weight of mystical force. One such master, arrogant and deluded, challenges a real fighter. He expects cooperation, a staged performance, but what he gets is brutal truth. The fighter doesn't play along. Instead, he walks right through the theatrics and delivers a single, devastating punch. The no-touch master collapses, touched and defeated. And yet, more keep coming. One more Wing Chun master enters the ring against a young Muay Thai fighter. With cartoonish confidence, he unleashes acrobatic moves that have no place in a real fight. The Thai fighter, refusing to let the comedy continue, explodes with a barrage of punches. The so-called master, unable to take the heat, folds and falls. The crowd applauds not the performance, but the punishment. Then enters another kung fu practitioner. He steps into the ring hoping to validate his so-called ancient techniques. What he finds instead is Xu Shoudong, a professional MMA fighter with zero tolerance for lies. As soon as the fight begins, Xu proves that the Kung Fu master's style is ineffective and outdated. Every punch he throws is met with silence. Then comes Xu's retaliation, a storm of elbows, sharp and devastating. The master, dazed and broken, taps out, conceding that centuries of tradition can't save him from a real elbow to the jaw. The saga continues. Another Wing Chun master takes on yet another Thai fighter. With flair and dramatic punches that connect with nothing, the master tries to control the narrative. But the Thai fighter writes his own ending: one round, one high kick, and one broken dream. The fake crumples before the round is over. The crowd doesn't cheer a victory. They cheer the truth. A particularly delusional Tai Chi master, bloated with pride, calls out a young boxer. He believes experience is enough. That belief lasts just seconds. The fight begins, and the young fighter, disgusted by the showmanship, starts dismantling his opponent. Blood spills. The crowd watches as the myth dissolves under the weight of sheer will and real skill. And finally, another Wing Chun artist takes his turn against a pro boxer. With childlike enthusiasm, he charges forward, arms flailing. The boxer doesn't even look surprised. With perfect timing, he throws a single punch. That's all it takes. The master hits the ground with a thud that silences the room. He doesn't get back up. What do these stories have in common? The arrogance, the showmanship, the belief that you can fake your way through combat with rituals, acrobatics, and outdated philosophies. But combat is merciless. It's not a theater or a dojo, it's a battlefield. And in that battlefield, only the trained survive. Time and again, these fake masters are exposed, humbled, and often hurt. Some might see this as cruelty, but in truth, it's necessary. These fights don't just entertain, they educate. They expose the frauds and elevate the real warriors. They remind us all that martial arts isn't about pretending to be powerful. It's about proving it, under pressure, against someone who wants to break you. If you've made it this far, ask yourself, why do these fake masters keep stepping into the ring? Is it arrogance, desperation, or do they truly believe their own lies? And more importantly, what does it say about our modern martial arts culture that so many still fall for the illusion? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Have you ever encountered a fake martial arts master in real life? This was Boxing Game. Until next time, stay sharp, stay real.